Ladies and gentlemen, there are truths that do not shout, they whisper. In the vast theater of human presence, the most profound revelations are often wrapped in silence. When you seek to understand who he is, not by titles, appearance, or words, but by the deeper resonance of his being, you must look beyond the noise. There is something almost imperceptible yet undeniable about a man whose presence alters the very atmosphere around him. It is not a matter of loudness or physical dominance, nor of grand gestures or flamboyant displays. Rather, it is the subtle, profound effect he has on the space and people around him, an effect that resonates deep within the psyche, stirring something unseen. When he enters a room, time seems to shift slightly. The energy that was once scattered, restless, or even tense begins to settle as if drawn to an invisible center. You may find yourself breathing differently, feeling a quiet calm or a gentle gravity that pulls you inward. This presence is like a still lake reflecting the sky, unchanging on the surface, yet teeming with hidden depths beneath. It is an unspoken invitation to pause, to become aware, to be present alongside him. This alteration of atmosphere is a reflection of his inner harmony or turmoil. When a man has embraced his whole self, the light and the shadow, the known and the unknown, his being radiates a coherence that cannot be faked. It is a silent testimony of self-possession, and it touches others on a level beyond words, beyond surface interaction. It affects the collective unconscious of the group, subtly shifting moods and perceptions without conscious effort. You might notice how conversations slow down, how people listen more intently, or how the usual noise and distractions fade away. It is as if his presence creates a sanctuary, a space where authenticity is invited and superficial masks fall away. The atmosphere becomes charged with possibility, yet grounded in quiet stability. This effect can be unsettling for those who thrive on chaos or distraction, but for those who seek meaning and depth, it is magnetic. It draws you toward reflection, toward a deeper encounter, not just with him, but with yourself, for in the presence of such a man, the outer world recedes and the inner world stirs. In essence, this silent alteration of atmosphere is the language of his soul speaking directly to yours. It is a reminder that the truest power lies not in the noise we make, but in the space we hold, and that sometimes the loudest message is conveyed in complete stillness. To listen is often thought of as an act of the ears, a mechanical reception of sound and words. Yet the truest listening transcends mere hearing. It is an engagement of the whole being, and nowhere is this more evident than in the way he listens with his eyes. His gaze does not merely glance over the surface, but penetrates the veils that words can never fully lift. When he listens, his eyes become portals into his presence. They hold stillness and focus, refusing to be distracted by the fleeting or superficial. There is no impatience, no urge to interrupt or fill the silence with his own voice. Instead, his eyes are an anchor, grounding the conversation in a space of genuine attention and receptivity. This kind of listening is a rare gift, for it requires vulnerability, both in the listener and in the one who is being heard. His eyes communicate a quiet reverence for the speaker's truth, no matter how fragmented, painful, or joyous it may be. They say without words, "I see you, I honor your experience." In this silent acknowledgement, the speaker feels seen beyond appearances, beyond social masks, and beyond the story's surface. The eyes pierce into the shadowed corners of the soul, recognizing what is often hidden even from oneself. This way of listening is transformative. It creates a container in which truths long buried can surface, where healing can begin, and where connection deepens beyond casual exchange. When he listens with his eyes, he is offering a sacred space where silence holds meaning, and where every pause is filled with presence rather than absence. Such listening is a mirror reflecting the inner world of the speaker. It invites honesty, vulnerability, and trust. And in this act, he reveals himself, not by speaking, but by witnessing. His eyes tell a story of patience, empathy, and an unspoken commitment to understand, even when understanding seems impossible. To be listened to in this way is to be recognized as fully human. It awakens the longing in all of us to be truly seen and accepted, and through this quiet exchange, the world becomes a little less lonely, and the soul a little more whole. There is a profound courage in a man who does not fear his own shadow. To confront the shadow is to face the hidden parts of oneself, the impulses, fears, weaknesses, and desires that society often demands we hide or deny. This shadow is not merely darkness, it is the raw, unfiltered essence of the unconscious, the parts of the soul that resist light and understanding, most shy away from this confrontation, choosing instead the safety of surface masks and curated personas. But he walks willingly into that shadowed terrain. He does not run from what frightens him within. Instead, he turns toward it with a steady gaze. This encounter is no mere act of bravery. It is a sacred reconciliation. He knows that denying his shadow only feeds its power, allowing it to control him from the depths. By embracing it, he integrates the fractured pieces of his psyche, making himself whole. This wholeness is not perfection, but a deep acceptance of all that he is, both light and dark. In this integration, his shadow loses its ability to manipulate and terrorize. Instead, it becomes a source of wisdom and strength, a silent teacher that reveals the complexities of the human condition. When a man has met his shadow, he carries a depth that cannot be imitated or superficialized. There is a palpable authenticity in him, a groundedness born of inner conflict, resolved not through avoidance but through understanding. You can sense this in the quiet steadiness of his presence, in the way he navigates life's storms with measured grace rather than frantic denial. He is not free from pain or struggle, but he is no longer a victim to the hidden forces within. This mastery over the shadow allows him to act from a place of conscious intention rather than unconscious reaction. Moreover, his acceptance of the shadow fosters compassion, not just for himself, but for others who wrestle with their own inner darkness. He knows the terrain well and does not judge those still lost in its shadows. Instead, he offers empathy and patience, recognizing the universal human journey toward self-awareness. In this way, his shadow does not frighten him, it empowers him. It reminds us all that to be truly alive is to embrace every part of ourselves, to sit with the discomfort of our inner conflicts, and to emerge with a fuller, richer sense of who we are. The silent strength of such a man lies not in what he hides, but in what he courageously reveals, his whole, imperfect, and luminous self. Respect is often sought as a currency to be earned through loud declarations, displays of power, or outward achievements. But the kind of respect that truly matters, the respect that flows naturally from others, cannot be demanded or coerced. It is something far subtler and deeper, something evoked by the quiet integrity of a man who does not need to announce his worth. He does not stand on a pedestal or shout his virtues from the rooftops. His dignity is not a performance crafted for applause, but a lived experience rooted in an unwavering connection with his inner self. This connection guides his actions and decisions, aligning them with his values even when no one is watching. It is this consistency, this silent authenticity, that draws others toward him. The respect he evokes is not conditional on status, wealth, or charm. It arises organically from the way he carries his burdens without complaint, how he treats the invisible and the marginalized with kindness, and how he acts with courage in moments of quiet sacrifice. People sense that he does not act for personal gain or recognition, but from a deeper place of responsibility and love. This is the foundation of true authority, a magnetism that needs no proclamation. In his presence, respect feels like a natural response rather than a forced obligation. It is the recognition of a man who honors himself and others equally, who acknowledges both strengths and weaknesses without judgment. There is a humility intertwined with his strength, a humility that paradoxically enhances his power. He understands that respect is not a trophy to be won, but a mirror reflecting how he treats the world and himself. It is evoked through his actions, his patience in adversity, and his willingness to stand firm in his truth while remaining open to growth and change. This kind of respect invites trust, loyalty, and admiration that last far beyond fleeting moments of success. Moreover, by evoking respect rather than demanding it, he creates a space where others feel seen and valued. His example challenges those around him to find their own integrity and courage, inspiring a quiet revolution of authenticity. In this way, respect becomes a shared experience, a ripple that spreads through relationships and communities. Ultimately, he shows us that true respect is born not from external validation, but from the silent power of being fully oneself, a power that resonates deeply and calls forth the best in others without a single word spoken. In a world that often clamors for conformity and external approval, there exists a rare man who charts his course not by the shifting tides of society, but by an inner compass, a quiet, unwavering guidance that emerges from the depths of his own soul. This compass is not a map etched by others' expectations or the noise of popular opinion. It is a living intuition, a sacred knowledge that calls him toward what is true and meaningful. He does not drift aimlessly with every wind of change, nor does he chase after fleeting trends or hollow accolades. Instead, his path is forged by listening deeply to the voice within the part of himself that knows, without doubt, what aligns with his authentic purpose. This inner guide may speak softly, sometimes drowned out by doubt or fear, but he has learned to honor it above the clamor of the outside world. Following this compass requires tremendous courage, for it often leads him into the unknown, into places where the terrain is uncertain and the destination unclear. Yet he does not falter. The compass is a source of strength, a beacon that illuminates his way through confusion and challenge. It reminds him that the journey itself, steeped in authenticity and self-trust, is more important than the promise of comfort or approval. This inner guidance shapes his decisions not through rigid rules, but through an ever-evolving dialogue between his conscious mind and the deeper layers of his being. He is attuned to symbols, feelings, and subtle signs that point beyond the surface reality to a greater wisdom. This attunement is a kind of sacred listening, a surrender to the mystery of life that embraces both light and shadow, order and chaos. Because he is guided by this compass, he moves with integrity, even when the world around him seems chaotic or misguided. His steps are measured, purposeful, and aligned with a deeper rhythm. Others may see his actions as mysterious or unconventional, but to him, they are expressions of fidelity to his own truth. This inner direction also grants him a profound sense of peace. He is not tossed by the waves of external validation or criticism because he is anchored in a knowing that transcends approval. This does not make him arrogant or detached. Rather, it makes him deeply connected to himself, to others, and to a greater whole. In following his inner compass, he models a way of being that invites us all to listen more carefully to our own hidden guidance. He shows us that true freedom is not the absence of direction, but the courage to trust the wisdom within. And in doing so, he quietly changes the world, not through loud declarations, but by walking steadily on the path of his own becoming.